What makes a Malaysian Malaysian? The food, the laws, sure, but there's something more.
Malaysia is a very multi-racial, multi-religious, multicultural country. Differences in identities have been a cause for celebration, but they've also been a cause of conflict, right? We still see racial politics out there being weaponized.
And he's right. Despite the fact that our national identity is shaped by our multi-ethnic heritage, racial discrimination remains an issue today. In fact, COMAS reports an overall increase in the incidence of racism reported over the past 10 years.
It permeates a lot of areas of life, right? Not just within policy making, but everyday, day-to-day living.
I'm Gareth, and this is the story of a youth changemaker who's working on changing that.
My name is Adnan. I'm the Programs Manager with Architects of Diversity.
Architects of Diversity is a youth-led NGO founded in 2018, whose programming aims at fostering an ecosystem of change for racial and religious inclusion in Malaysia.
AOD is here to essentially advocate, run programs, conduct community building in order to bridge the divide between people and to celebrate differences and to be comfortable with uncomfortable conversations.
Now, AOD is known for its flagship programs, all focused on bridging identity gaps and building inclusion. Their three main programs include Sekolah Diversity, Campus Advocacy, and the social change incubator, Bina X Bangkit. With so many NGOs working on social issues, standing out isn't necessarily easy. And in fact, for AOD, it wasn't always smooth sailing.
Fun fact, AOD nearly shut down. I don't know if it's a rite of passage for NGOs to kind of face that challenging moment where you're like, will we even survive the next month or not? But yeah, AOD did go through that. Fortunately enough, we were able to secure funding for that.
But beyond the programs, what really sets them apart is how they approach the topic of racial discrimination.
Actually, there are not that many organizations out there or NGOs out there that specifically focus on DI or specifically from a racial lens.
He's a youth changemaker today, but that wasn't a part of the plan. At least not in this way.
I heard that you studied law.
Yes. Oh wow, where do I start? Growing up and you're like in debate and you think you can argue and you're like, okay, hey, law's the thing for me, and I hated numbers. I was terrible at math, so I was like, yep, law, no numbers, perfect. Gonna be the next Harvey Specter, Malaysian version. I was supposed to fly to the UK for my final year, and then COVID hit. And so, existential crisis, kind of identifying, is this really what I want to do? And I remember, doom scrolling this one night, and I saw an ad for an internship with AOD. But at the time, I still had my final paper, so I didn't approach it yet. It stumbled my way again. I was like, okay, this must be a sign. So I applied for AOD for a 2-month internship. First 2 months was great. I extended my internship for another 2 months, 4, 5 months. 6 months came along. I realized like, hey, I like the work that I'm doing here. Yeah, I think I want to stay on. And so yeah, here I am, 3 years later, still in AOD. Yeah.
So what makes us Malaysians? Beyond the food, the jokes, and our multi-ethnic diversity, maybe it's also this: the recognition that we aren't perfect and that something better is out there, even if it means walking away from the life we had planned.
This is not my life trajectory that I thought of 4 years ago, right? And here I am. Sometimes we think we have our entire life figured out for us. And I think you need to ask yourself, is the view that you have imposed by someone else? Are you kind of living someone else's dream? Are you living someone else's life? At the end of the day, sometimes the grass can be green on the other side. It did feel like, if I had practiced law, this is what things would have been like. But I'm pretty sure if I had wanted to practice law, then I would have also missed out on all of this, on this rich experience that I've had. So yeah, no regrets.
In times like these, it feels easy to be disillusioned by power, to wonder if anything we do even matters. But as Adnan's story tells us, changemakers aren't always loud or certain or planned. Sometimes they're just people who take a leap of faith.
If you want to make a change, then you're already 70%, 80% there. I'm just a dude doing his best, right? I'm not a particular expert on race relations, on diversity, right? It's something that I've had to learn. If you feel strongly about an issue and if you feel like it's your calling, then go for it, because you're on the right path.
And that is what makes a youth changemaker.
When I got accepted for the fellowship and we talked about young changemakers, I remember being a little scared, because I think in this day and age, especially with media, quite often we feel like there's a very negative connotation to it. We see these like big young change makers who've like, you know, given up their whole lives to dedicate their whole lives to a certain cause. And as someone who hasn't found that one spark of like something that I'm willing to drop everything for, I would felt quite demotivated at one point. And I realized that now there's an opportunity to kind of highlight how people don't have to follow a very singular path to success, because success is arbitrary. What matters is as long as you have your passion and you work hard and you show that you care with empathy, I think that's what matters. So that's why with the video I made, I wanted to highlight not necessarily just what the organization does, because I feel like AOD has a lot of coverage and I think it's really good coverage, but I wanted to highlight specifically how one individual who's a very strong member of the organization could pivot from a different path and still find success in his own work. So yeah.